So you want to learn to play guitar? Well, you've come to the right place. Hi, my name is Kutemwa and welcome to Acoustic Grace. So this is the first step towards you becoming a guitar guru and I'm very happy for you. Disclaimer, I am not a guitar lord who will be shooting out great facts from the great knowledge of guitar greatness. I did not learn the conventional way. There's still a lot that I don't know. But this is what I had to know for me to start playing guitar. So this is for you if you want to learn how to play. And if you want to know how my guitar journey is going so far, I have a playlist, acoustic covers, but let's get into it. So there's 3 things that you need to know for you to be able to play guitar. Okay, and there's a lot more, like I said, but this is the basic knowledge that you need to have. So you have 6 strings on the guitar, and you can see these divisions here. These are called frets. So each string has its own original pitch that it's on, right? If I play through, you can hear that these sound very different from each other, right? So the way the guitar works is when you hold a string, when you press it down on a specific position, and I'm talking in terms of the frets, it gets a different pitch. So it goes like that, right? Okay. And you don't need to know that for you to play a song, but it's very helpful if you want to play along. This is something that I still use for me to find the key that a song is in, and by key I'm just talking about the pitch. So let's say I'm singing randomly, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved. So that's the key that I'm in, right? And that introduces the second thing that you need to know. That's the key that I'm in, and as I said, that's just the pitch, right? So I found this and I know, okay, this is the key that I'm singing in. Okay, so you have 12 keys and they go from A to G. So you have A, B, I'm showing an alphabet, up to G, and then in between some of those keys from A to G, you have a half step in between, right? So let's say you have A, then you have A sharp, which is in between A and B. So it's A sharp, then B. And then there's 2 of those keys that don't have sharps, right? So you have B and E, right? So if I was counting through the keys, it would be A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, and G sharp. And those are the keys, right? So let's say I found this, right? And I want to know what key I was singing in, right? This is the E string. So I can count through the frets. So it's from E to F sharp, G sharp, A, meaning that I was singing in the key of A, right? So that's the concept of keys. Now, I'm not just going to play Amazing Grace the whole time, right? I'm going to accompany that A sound with some other strings. So this is the A chord. We'll go into chords later, but that's also the third thing that you need to know, that every key has a chord. And those are the majors that I mentioned, but there's going to be a lot of other types of chords that are, that we'll learn later on and so on. There's a lot. Like, I don't think there's anyone who knows all the chords that exist, but for now we're talking about the majors, right? So that's in A, right? And if I'm playing in A, it will be Amazing Grace, how sweet. So I'm going to change at some point, right? I'm not just going to be singing in that same pitch. It changes throughout, right? So if you're playing in a major key, so in that case we said A is the key that we're playing in, it's going to be basically accompanied by 3 other chords. And I say basically because there's a lot, but for now we'll talk about those. So the major chords are those that I said, right? You have from A to G sharp. So specifically if you're playing in A will be accompanied by D and E. Okay, so this is specifically for A. If I'm playing, I can play any song with those 3, A, D, and E. But of course there's going to be some additions, and the biggest addition that you need to know are the minor chords. I don't know how I would describe the minor chords, but I would just say it's kind of like a spice that you can add to substitute for a major chord. So you just want it to sound different, right? So let's say for A, the minor chord is going to be F sharp minor, right? So I can substitute that. So let's say I'm playing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I could have easily stayed on A, but I went to F sharp minor just to give that like a different sound. So basically those are the minor chords. And from that example you can see that the minor chord is not tied to the major. Like, it's not like A minor is going to be substituted with A major will be substituted with A minor. It really differs, and we'll get into that with as we progressively learn guitar. This is just the first lesson, but that's basically what you need to know. You need to know the minor, and the minor chord is going to be substituted for the major chord. We know we were in A, so we knew the minor for A specifically. And then we also have the 2 other chords. So those are the 4 chords. You need to know the major chord that you're playing in, that's the key, so let's say A. And then you need to know the minor for that chord, so let's say F sharp minor. And then you need to know the 2 other chords that accompany it. So in that case we had D and E. Okay, so we'll go into that, like how to know which chords accompany a certain key and so on. But for now, that's basically what you have to know. You need 4 chords for you to play a song very basically. There's a lot that you can substitute as you go on in the song to give it a different sound, a different feel, but these are the basics that you need to know for you to play a song. So we said there's strings and frets. You need to know that there's keys and there's chords. Okay, so the thing about guitar, first of all, is it requires a lot of practice, because you saw playing in A, like, you know, your fingers change shapes so many times, you need to stretch them sometimes, you know, it really takes a lot of practice. So you need to be dedicated to practicing a lot, because the more you practice, the better you become at holding those keys. I know it took a long time for my fingers to get used, because I don't know, normally you use your fingers for the same thing at the same time, but now you're going to have to learn to put them in different positions, in different shapes and so on. But definitely the more you practice, the better you become, and you just have to be committed to that practice. So as I said, we're going to learn our first song, and we'll be learning it in the key of G, because I believe this is the easiest. I know there's guitar experts out there who would disagree with me, yeah, but anyway, this is my opinion. I think G is the easiest. So we're going to learn the 4 chords of the key of G, and we're going to learn how to play a very simple song. And you can pause the video, play it as many times as you need to, because I'll just be like running through, because I don't want this video to be very long. But yeah, so the first one is the key of G. So I mean the chord of G, because we are in the key of G, so that's going to be our major resting chord. So you're going to get your first finger and put it, oh, and by the way, as we are counting, this is the first finger, your pointer finger. We're not counting the thumb, because your thumb will be on this side holding your hand down. So we have 4 strings. So this is the first finger, second finger, third finger, and fourth finger. And as we count the strings, we're counting from the bottom up. So when I say the first string, I mean the highest string, and then you'll be going up just like that. Okay, so get your first finger, put it on the second fret, and the frets are also being counted from this end. So second fret of the 5th string, right? Get your second finger, put it on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, which is your last string. Hope you guys can see. And then your last finger, which is your pinky, is going to go on the 1st string, the 3rd fret of that, right? So that's your G. And I will say it takes some time for you to get the hang of holding these down. So the tips that I can give you is, 1, make sure your fingers are like this. You don't want your finger to be resting. You want it to be upright as you hold the string, right? Because if it's resting on something else, let me give you an example, it will make it sound very unclear. You can tell there's like some, you know, yeah, it doesn't sound clear. So you need to make sure that you hold them down and your fingers are upright, so that it has a clear sound. So those are the 2 things. Make sure you are holding it down tight enough, and then make sure that your fingers are not holding any other strings other than the strings they're supposed to be holding. So that's your G. Next thing is your D. So we're going to go, your first finger is going to go on the 3rd string's 2nd fret. Second finger goes on the 1st string's 2nd fret as well, and then your 3rd finger is going to go on the 2nd string's 3rd fret. That's your D. Same thing, make sure you're holding it down tight enough, and pause this video, play it until you get the hang of holding D. Okay, and then we have our C. So for your C, you're going to get your first finger and put it on the 2nd string of, the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Then your 2nd finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And then your 3rd finger goes on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. That's your C. So you see, they all have different shapes, different sounds, but that's your C. And then your minor chord, which is the substitute for your G, which is our major, is you're going to get, this is very easy, get your first finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Then your 2nd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So that's all you need for your E minor. Okay, so those are the chords we're going to be using: G, D, C, and E minor. Like I said, pause it and play it until you get the hang of holding those chords. So we're going to be playing Bless the Lord, O my soul. and there's a lot that goes into you playing. So the first thing is you holding the chords, making sure you know where the chords are, and then the second thing is also the timing, which goes into the strumming, which is this part. How often do you do this? What pattern are you going to be using for that? We'll go into this in later videos, but for now we'll just learn how to play a song. Okay, so we're going to start from G. So it goes, so that's our resting chord. Okay, so the moment you start singing bless the, it goes to C. So bless the Lord, oh my, then back to G, so to D, oh my soul, to E minor, to C, worship his, or G, name E, D, sorry, to C, sing like never, to G, to E minor, then it goes to C, D, E minor, C, D, G. So there's a lot of strum this key twice, strum this chord 4 times, strum, you know. But if you know the sound of the song, I will say that's something that you need to also develop. Just that ear to know, okay, now I need to change the chord. Like, okay, this, yeah, I need to change at this point and this point. And that comes from you listening to a lot of music. So I would suggest also listening to music and paying attention to those chord changes, like, because the more aware you are of them, the easier it becomes for you to play a song, even one that you've never played before, right? So I'll go through just like saying the names. So it's C, C, G, G, D, D, E minor, C, C. That was hard. D, 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 C, C, G, G, C, D, E minor, C, C, D, D, G, G, D. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name, sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. As you can see, I'm doing something on this side. That's because I like do, I don't know why I do that. I stop them, but you don't need to worry about that. So the first thing that you need to worry about is getting the chords right and the timing, how to know, you know, how many times am I strumming this, how many times am I strumming that, when do I need to change. Then on this side, it's a 4 count of a song, so it's 1, 2, 1, 2, just like that. It goes just like that. So on every time that you count, you are strumming on this side, right? So you can just basically do bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, and so on. Okay, so like I said, this is the first guitar lesson. Let me know how it goes, what you found helpful, and also if you want me to do a video on a specific thing. I already have in mind the next video that we're going to do, but just let me know, just so that well, it's actually helpful for the people who are using the videos. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share this with someone who you know has been trying to learn guitar for a while, and I will see you in the next video.